Hi, everybody. Happy to be here. This is Nancy Weinbeck, CEO of Bayview, for another weekly video message. They haven't quite been weekly of late. Starting on March 16th, we're going to attempt our first town hall through video, through live streaming, and we'll send out more information about that, and we'll see how that goes. If that goes well, we may do more live streaming reports and announcements as opposed to pre-filmed videos. That might help us be a little more timely with the information that we're trying to get out. And hopefully it will also be more interactive, so residents will be able to call in or type in questions during the town hall, and so we can respond right at that moment. So we'll see how that goes for everybody. Now I want to talk about our restrictions, protocols, what it all means now that the majority of our community is at 2 vaccinations and 3 weeks out from the second shot. So common sense would tell you, and it certainly tells me, that we are protected now and that it's safe to come back together, to dine together, to be in town halls together, to do whatever we want and basically feel free and comfortable because we have protection. That's what common sense says. And right now we are battling that because we have to abide by a variety of regulatory bodies depending on the level of care here at Bayview. And that's making things really challenging and difficult and frustrating and hard. And I want to let you know that we are all at the leadership level doing our best to roll back as much as we are able to. And also Leading Age Washington, of which we're a member, WACA, which is, I think, the Washington Healthcare Association, the sort of the for-profit version of Leading Age, and a host of other agencies and lobbying groups are advocating, pleading with the governor and all our state agencies to roll back restrictions because of the harm at this point that those restrictions are now causing, particularly when our residents are protected with the vaccine. Everybody is fighting to get rid of these restrictions. We are also fighting here at Bayview, and we don't keep these restrictions gladly, and we understand how much harm they are causing people. And I just want to let you know that we are battling here now at this point to get the state agencies to ease up on what their regulatory requirements are. So hang in there, we'll keep you posted. All right, I'm going to be putting my glasses on and off because I'm referring to specific things in this next section, and I want to make sure I get the language right. So when I just talked about the different agencies that we are beholden to, let me just clarify that point for you so everyone can understand who oversees what. For our licensed regulated areas, and that's assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing, we have to follow DSHS's, that's Department of Social and Health Services, Safe Start for Long-Term Care Plan. So that comes with a bunch of regulatory requirements that we have to follow for that. That's where our quarantine rules are coming in under, and a number of other our infection control policies. For independent living, we follow, as any person in the state of Washington follows, the governor's Roadmap to Recovery plan, which has different requirements and restrictions. So in terms of our DSHS plan for our licensed areas, we're in phase 1. According to the governor's plan, we're in phase 2. These plans are different, they don't match, and yet we have to make them work together. And that's what the leadership team has been meeting, meeting after meeting after meeting, to do our best, and along with guidance from Leading Age Washington, to make sense of these different bodies and the different requirements that we have to follow right now. So what does this mean for our independent residents? And let's start with quarantine. And by the way, by the time you see this video, you'll have received a detailed memo that is going to review in greater detail much of what I'm going to share with you. So, as far as quarantine goes, the governor's proclamation regarding travel still stands. So if you leave the state or the country, when you return, you have to quarantine for 14 days. It doesn't matter. It sounds like it doesn't matter if you're vaccinated or not. Now, Centers for Disease Control, outside of the travel restrictions, CDC is saying that if you are doubly vaccinated, you may be able to not quarantine depending on your situation. And that's where a risk assessment comes into play. And we will share more information on that with you. You'll get information in the memo. You probably may have already received it. And what I recommend is, if you have questions about your particular situation and whether you need to quarantine at Bayview, give our leadership team a jingle, give Joel a call or shoot an email, and we'll be able to look at your specific situation and see where you fall under these guidelines as far as quarantining goes. Let's talk about dining. We are going to start opening up the dining room in the next week or two. You're going to be getting an update from Dan Galvin this week on exactly when and how that is going to roll out. It is looking like it will still incorporate somewhat of that food court model, but you'll be getting detailed information this week, and hopefully we'll be able to go back to some form of dining together in another week or two. So hang in there for more information on that front. Now, I want to talk about the annual dinner. For those of you that are new to Bayview, we have an annual anniversary dinner to celebrate Bayview's opening. And in the past, that also included our annual board meeting, the last of the 4 board meetings for the year. And there was some ceremonial features to it as well. And we, in planning for this very special anniversary, because it is our 60th, we were concerned that we would not yet be able to be fully open and celebrate in our traditional way of dining together. So what we did was we planned for delivery, even though that is not how we wanted this to go. But it's, as I just emailed another resident, consider it a placeholder for when we can all come together and celebrate live and in person. And that will be a truly wonderful and profound moment after this incredibly difficult year we've just gotten through. So please hang in there. Thanks for your patience with us. We know a delivered meal is certainly not the same as all coming together as a community in the dining room. But like I say, we'll get there, and when we do, we are going to celebrate. So hang in there. Next, let's talk about visitation. When can families come into Bayview and actually be with residents in their homes, in their apartments. This is still a work in progress. We're not yet opening our doors to all visitors. However, the state has now allowed some give. They've declared 2 categories of visitors. One is called essential support persons, and the other is compassionate care visitor or compassionate care visitation. We get more alphabet soup here. So essential support person is ESP, compassionate care visit is CCV. And there are specific guidelines on how visitation for either ESPs or CCVs can happen at Bayview. And what I recommend is refer to the memo that you received this week. Joel goes into good detail explaining these 2 categories and what visitation may be able to happen here inside our walls. We're not quite at the point of visitors coming into apartments, but this is a step in the right direction. So we are making progress, and these are the rules we're bound by at this point. You know, I recently responded to a resident who was sharing their frustration, and in my email I had written that I read somewhere this time being compared to the 7th inning stretch. And I know Joel has also used that analogy in the memo that you received. It's frustrating because we don't want to be in the 7th inning stretch, right? We want to be done. We just want to be done. We want to open our doors. We want families back in our building. We want programs happening. We want full dining. We want to go back to a way of living that is human, that is social, that is connecting, that is nourishing to our bodies and our spirits and our souls. And we're not there. And again, back to what I said at the beginning, we know everybody is doubly vaccinated, and we should be able to do that. I am pushing, and we are all pushing to get back to that new normal, whatever that's going to look like, as soon as we possibly can. My hope, my optimistic side says as more vaccines are made available and more people are able to get vaccinated, those rates in King County are going to continue to drop. As they do, the governor will advance us to the next phases. As that happens, our agencies like DSHS will also roll back their restrictions, and pretty soon, before you know it, Bayview will be thriving again as a community sharing in its humanity together. And I so look forward to that. It's coming, folks. It's happening. We're so close, and that's what makes it so hard at this point. So I beg for your patience. I beg my staff and our amazing leadership team for their patience. All of this to say, please hang in there. We're almost through this. Have a wonderful week, and spring is coming. We'll see you at the town hall on March 16th. Thanks, everybody.